Hello, everyone, and welcome to this marketing mix. Today, I have been joined by Michelle Collins, and we are going to talk about how you can write a winning application for SmallBiz100. Now, for those of you who are watching who are not in the know, the SmallBiz100 is, I want to say, exclusive group of businesses, but it's been going for 10 years now. But it's 100 businesses that are chosen every year by Small Business Saturday to spotlight in the 100 days leading up to the big day itself. So it's a great opportunity for you if you want to put your business in the spotlight and be promoted by Small Business Saturday. Now, I became a SmallBiz100 in 2016. It was the year I started my business. It was one of the things that I wanted to achieve that year, was to get into that group, and I did it. Michelle, tell us about your business and when you became a SmallBiz100.
Okay, so my business is Pink Spaghetti PA Services. I'm based in Chester, North Wales, and Manal, of course, we met through the Small Business 100. So one of the first benefits of being part of the group is that you get to become part of the alumni and get that networking opportunity. And I was the year, I think must have been the year after you, 2017 was my year.
Yeah, and do you know what? I have to say that probably for me, that having that group, that alumni, is probably one of the things that I guess, felt most grateful for, as being part of that group, because I work by myself. It's just me and my business. Having that group has actually, and having it from the outset, because I applied in that first year of business, it felt like I wasn't completely on my own. And I guess, did that feel the same for you?
It certainly did. So I am lucky enough to have a team now, and I'm part of multiple teams as part of, and the Small Business Britain team, of course, as part of my business. But yeah, back in the early days, there's just myself and just one or two other employees. Did have the franchise network, but it was a very small franchise network. So yeah, definitely having those contacts and those connections. And of course, we go to the Blue Tie event every year, and it's almost hard to believe, isn't it? You see a few people a couple of times a year, maybe have a chat in a Facebook group, but it's always lovely to see those regular faces and be able to catch up and share your journey with them.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think I've been to practically every Blue Tie apart from one. And it's just, that's, again, that whole Small Business Saturday campaign is one of my favorite things of the year. It's just this part of anticipating about who's going to apply and who's going to succeed, and then getting to meet the 100 and all of the stuff that comes after that. So in terms of applying, you and I are both service-based businesses.
We are.
Who should apply to be a SmallBiz100?
So any small business that wants some favourable PR, if you want some recognition for what you've done. One comment, I guess, when you go for things like the Small Business 100, is it's really, really nice when you fill in your application to be able to reflect on the year that's gone or on your achievements. So anybody who's up for reflecting on the achievements, seeing how far they've come, and in terms of businesses, we are both service-based businesses. But I was thinking the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, and many more. In recent years, there's been consultants, there's been voiceover artists, people from the construction industry, market traders, amazing cocktail bars, wine schools, anybody and everybody, really.
I mean, I have to say, like, since in my year, there were a lot of varied businesses, but as we see every year when the 100 get announced, there's always one or two businesses where I think, wow, I didn't know there was a thing like that. I didn't know there was a business that did that. So
there is. It is. Yeah, it's always a lovely surprise, isn't it? Yeah. And it's kind of, who came up with that idea?
Exactly.
but then we find out, because they share their story on social media, or there might be a blog written about them, and it tells you who they are, why they did it, and what their business is about. So it's always good to hear everybody's stories.
Definitely worth applying. And I'm just going to say that anyone who's watching live, there are a few of you, As we go on, if you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat and we will go through as many as we can. But important thing, the applications are open now. When do they close?
Midnight on June the 30th.
Midnight.
So there's still a couple of weeks to go, but don't leave it till the last minute. Definitely don't leave it till the last minute.
Just out of interest, has the server ever broken around midnight?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. But those applications do still come through to that very, very last minute. If you want to, I guess it's how to write the best application. Get organised, have a look at it, break down those questions. It's not overly complex. There's some great questions in there, but sometimes I know, particularly for myself, to go back and think and reflect on what you've achieved and get that down in writing can take a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I think I will find the link and put it in the comments when we finish this. But Karen, who also is on the Small Business Britain team, a couple of years ago wrote a great blog post for me about how to write an awards application. So I will pop a link into the chat when we finish. But Michelle's absolutely right. You need to get yourself organised and do it early enough so that you have enough time. You don't want to be rushing this. You don't want to do what I did. I was very, very inexperienced when I put mine together. And do they still have to do a video?
Okay, so it is part of the application process. You're invited to submit a video because, of course, the team would like to meet the business. It doesn't need to be lengthy. It doesn't need to be professional. We're talking maybe a minute or two on something you would maybe use as a reel. And in fact, in the application process, on the application form, there's two different links which you can go through. One is how to make a reel in 60 seconds by the amazing Sam Flynn. So she's organised that so people can get a real idea of how to get their message across. And the other one is a recent webinar, which tells you all about using video for business if you're not already. So if you feel a little bit anxious about making a video, there's some tools and tips there as well.
Mine was so awful. I think the last time I found it and I watched it, I was watching it like this. I was cringing. It was so awful. But it really doesn't have to be long. So Red Poppy Photography, how many applications do they get? I know there's a lot. And every year, I don't think you're privy to this information, but every year it seems to be more and more people apply.
I think as the community grows, as the Small Business Saturday community grows, of course, I have told a few people I know to apply for it. I know you'll be doing exactly the same. So, 10 years of Small Business Saturday means the community is quite big. So lots of people do get that.
Yeah. And I think, getting that application right is the main thing. I would say that realistically, you should be concerned with how many people apply. It's like, how do I make my application stand out? And I know that there is a judging panel, if you like. Is that what you all... The Small Business Saturday team goes through every single application.
Every single application is looked at and is short. It goes through the shortlisting process. Yeah, it's a really big task, I think, for the team.
So for me, it's about making your application stand out. So when you get into the application, read the questions really carefully. And this is not the time to hide your light under a bushel? Is that the saying?
Yes.
This is the time to get that horn out and toot it. So really tell them why you're in business. What makes you get up every day and do what you're doing? What do you love about it? What else what have you achieved? If you've got numbers that you can put against that, I think numbers tell a really great story and you can't really argue with those. How have you achieved, how things like revenue and stuff like that? You don't have to put exactly how much. You can say that you increased it by a percentage or whatever, but the more power you can get into your application, the more it's going to stand out. So in terms of, let's come back to the video, because I know people will be nervous about this, but in terms of the video, you said it doesn't need to be long. So are we talking about a minute?
A minute, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. So 2
minutes.
minutes maximum.
Well, 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I guess what I don't think needs to happen is somebody needs to go and spend budget on it. You don't need to engage anybody. It can be a selfie stick. It can be a tripod. You could be out walking on the beach. If you can do absolutely whatever you want to share your personality and share some key facts about your business. If we're service-led businesses, if you came and watched me at work all day, it'd be quite boring.
Yeah.
It'd be quite dull. But there are amazing people out there. So if you're a product-based business and you want to share a quick insight of how you make your products, or if you're a service-based business and you want to introduce somebody that you're working with, absolutely, the world's your oyster. You can just make it your own.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking that, exactly that for me. Oh God, it was awful. But I think if I had to do that again, I'd probably be more natural about it. I think now, after doing videos for years, I feel more comfortable on video. I just remember actually one of my contacts locally, when she applied a few years ago, her business, she worked with children, and she asked their parents if the kids would be in the video with her and say what they got out of their sessions with her. And when she showed it to me, I was like, oh my God, if you don't get in, I'm gonna cry.
And that sounds super engaging, doesn't it? That's it. So, shows who you are. Show them who you are. Show them, what you can do. A show and tell will be fantastic.
Yeah,
great. That's all. Yeah.
So I mean, get creative and think about ideas that actually make your video engaging, but it's really not the be all and end all. For me, I get the feeling that they want to see the person behind the business. I would want to see the passion for your business and what drives you to keep going every day. Because let's face it, running a small business is hard. So talk about those things. Are there any other things that you think the team is looking for?
Okay, so some of the questions in the application form, a couple of the questions that come to mind straight away. Sustainability. What are you doing to make your business more sustainable? There's so many ideas out there. Sustainability, community. SmallBiz Saturday is about community. So what difference do you make through your business in the community? And that might be through a service that you provide, or a product that helps the community, or it could be all those extra things that business owners do that they don't normally shout about. So it could be supporting a charity. It could be volunteering their time or their service or their knowledge. And I think you and I are both probably very guilty of that. Somebody asks us if we, could you help me learn, or could you? And we say, yeah, of course we can. And that is the type of thing that makes a difference to the community, makes a difference to those small charities out there. So anything at all along those lines that you think, community, sustainability, and anything that you can pull in there will help you answer the questions.
Yeah, and I know, we don't think about this very often, and I don't know if this affects anybody that's watching, but also disabled entrepreneurs. We don't celebrate them enough. And I know there are, I think it was for the Small and Mighty program, or before that, I mentored, oh my God, his name's gone out of my head. I mentored a guy who he's autistic, and it's a real family business. And he creates, he draws and he creates greetings cards, and he's done a book. Can you remember his name?
It's Marcus.
Yes. There we go.
He's amazing.
But his dad's in the business, his mum's in the business, and I'm just thinking, I hope they apply this here, because that is the type of business that really would if it were down to me, I'd pick them. But just having different types of businesses in there, and I think there are lots of variety. And I know my year, there seemed to be quite a lot of food businesses, as I remember.
That's always good.
It's always good. Oh my God, always. So let's talk about, you touched on the benefits. One of the benefits is the community.
Yes.
So why else would people want to apply? I mean, I know for me, I know what it was in that first year. Getting that level of exposure was quite important.
It can be a milestone. It can be a massive milestone for your business, can't it? You know, it's. I remember when I entered the Small Business 100, I hit the local headlines, and even going down to do that skull run, you know, people saying congratulations, and I felt like a real business owner. And I know that might sound a little bit silly, but I think we all have those times, because I was only a couple of years into the business, and people kind of had an idea that I had a business. They knew I was there. They had an idea of what I did. But all of a sudden, I was somebody who was on a list, who had, you know, who'd achieved something in a very short space of time with their business. So I think that's, you know, one thing to look out for. So the achievement, the celebration, press. You know, I think it wasn't just once. I think I managed to get into the press a couple of times that year, because of course, Small Business Saturday isn't just one day. We do have Small Business Saturday, which this year is on the 2nd of December, but it also goes through the whole year. Mm-hmm. You know, there's events, there's support. It's there for the whole year.
Yeah, and I just, for me, it was quite eye-opening, because I kind of went into it thinking, well, there'll be this one splash of, you know, exposure. But I mean, when I think back of what opportunity that's given me, I mean, when the year I was SmallBiz 100, I wrote a blog post for Dropbox. In my first year of business, Dropbox asked me to write a blog post for them.
Because you've been recognised.
As a direct result of being a SmallBiz 100.
Yes.
So that actually gave me even more of a profile, and gave me credibility that, you know, this massive company is asking me to write a blog post for them.
And I think one of the other benefits is, if that's something you're not comfortable with, if you've never thought about writing a press release before, and you hit the Small Business 100, if you get onto that list, the Small Business Saturday team are absolutely amazing. And last year they ran sessions, and I think the year before they ran sessions for the Small Business 100, so they could go along, so they could learn how to craft that press release, how to get it where it needed to be. So there's also that additional type of support, which you might not be able to access elsewhere. And of course,
and Michelle and I were at a reception at the House of Lords last Thursday, and I was talking to one of the attendees who said to me that that press release was invaluable for her. And now she uses that format every time she puts out a press release, and it more often than not gets her into her local paper.
She needs to be. And so I think the point which I missed there was, you don't have to pay to come and get any of this support either.
No.
It's totally, the Small Business Saturday team are there. It's organised. You can join if you need the extra support. You can join. You can join if you don't need the extra support, because there's always loads of great tips. But it's totally free of charge. And of course, applications to the Small Business 100 are totally free of charge also.
And that, let's just talk about that. Say you're chosen, and Helen's asked, when do you hear if you've been picked?
Okay, so applications close at the end of June. So June 30th, midnight. And then the timeline from there is the Small Business Saturday team, Small Business Saturday, Small Business Sprint team, work really, really, really hard over the coming weeks to shortlist every single, or go through and shortlist the applications. From there, the Small Business 100, and I don't know the exact date yet this year, it starts 100 days before the 2nd of December. So this starts to get announced publicly at the end of August. So earlier in August, as soon as we possibly can. Is it early August, the end of July? I can't remember. It goes out, and it's a big top secret email that goes out to the 100 successful applications. And from there, you then have some time, you get given a day on which Small Business Saturday will showcase your business across all of their social media. You'll get asked to complete another form to give us any more detail that the press might be interested in. And then from there, the Small Business Saturday team will be looking for opportunities to pop you into the press as soon as it all goes live at the end of August.
Yeah. So, Helen, you get your application in. Sometime in August, you will be told that you've been selected, but you're not allowed to say anything until the official communication goes out. In my year, I remember when I got the email, I was just sitting at my desk working, and then all of a sudden I screamed, and my husband was like, "Whoa, what happened?" Well, he didn't scream, but what happened? I was like, I got it. And I was dancing around the kitchen because in that time, the kitchen table was my desk. But I wasn't allowed to say anything. So I was told my husband, obviously. But then the great thing was that when the official announcement was made, I was able to put a link to the Guardian that had my business name in it. So, I mean, that's the kind of coverage that we're talking about. And if you're on my email list, you'll have seen the email that I sent out last week about this. I was in the Telegraph talking to Philip Hammond. So these are the sort of doors that open up when you become a SmallBiz 100. And it just really means that you actually get to access people and places and resources and support that make a massive difference to your business, particularly if you're doing it on your own. So
if Helen's worried that she's got annual leave, do we call it annual leave when we're a business owner? Holidays booked at any point in that period, there are a couple of weeks grace there. We're not expecting everybody to come back with their answer, straight away. I'm talking about that from an admin point of view for Small Business Saturday.
Yeah.
So, don't think I won't put in for it because I'm going on holiday and I won't have time to prepare or anything along those lines.
I mean, let's just touch on that, because you get chosen, and for me, it is definitely like you should spend time making friends with those other 99 people that are in your cohort. The biggest thing that I think made a difference to my day, which actually was on holiday when I was given my day, and kindly the team swapped it for me. So I was in the country and I ran a competition. I put a whole campaign around my day. I ran a competition where people had to comment on a post on my Facebook page, and that was all shared on my day. But because I had shared and commented and liked on everyone's posts in the days leading up to my spotlight day, I got such a lot of love from the others that came before me. And I can't tell you enough that this is not, the team is going to do crap loads to give you that spotlight, but you need to grab it by the horns and make the most of this opportunity that you can.
You did ask the question before, what do people get if they get into the Small Business 100? And I totally agree. If you can use it as a vehicle to promote, to run competitions, as you said, to run offers. You can use it in any way that you want in that run up to Small Business Saturday. And if you do grab it by the horns and lead it forward, it's going to be a lot bigger than if if you just wait for something to happen.
Yeah, and I'll just tell you a little story about when I applied. I got a bit despondent because I think I compete with a lot for press where I am in London. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I was getting a bit despondent about not getting in the press. And my husband and I had travelled to Brighton to go to one of his friends' birthday do. And because I was down there, I took the opportunity to go and see one of the other businesses from that year, which is the Pet Shed in Brighton. So I went and visited her, and I was just bemoaning the fact that I'd sent out the press release and I hadn't had any bites and stuff. And she went, "But Manal, you're so visible in that group. Everyone's just like, you post all the time and you interact." And I was like, why am I worrying about the press when actually that group is full of people that I would want to work with?
Yes.
And my year was the reception was at Downing Street. And when I walked in, so many people recognized me from me being active in the group and liking and sharing the posts and stuff, that to me, that was as good as getting in the press, and even better because one of the reasons I applied was because Small Business Britain completely attracts the type of businesses I want to work with. So, don't get despondent. You know, there are things that you can do, but honestly, it's such a big opportunity to showcase your business. I'm just going to ask you this question from Helen. Does it matter if you've been in business a long time?
Question for me. In terms as being part of the Small Business Britain team, I have seen startups go straight through. I think I was a couple of years in. Manal, you were pretty new, weren't you, when you got into the Small Business 100? And I've also seen family businesses who have been established for a very long time go through. So no, I think if you are a business and you're trading, definitely think about applying. Your story, if your story's already started, if you're already making a difference, if you've got great plans, I think it's just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that the thing I did after I put my application in was I started thinking about, what if I get this? What am I going to do? Which meant that when it was confirmed, I had a good idea of how I was going to leverage being a SmallBiz 100 to try and, get my business noticed and raise awareness, particularly because I was so new. So I'd say if you're going to put in your application, as soon as you've done that, think about what it is that you're going to do. How, like, if you get chosen and your day is the first day of that 100, what are you going to do? And it's good to be prepared, because I've seen in the last few years that some businesses aren't prepared, and it kind of passes them by. And I think, like, if you go and look at Small Business Saturday's social following, you'll see the potential audiences that you could reach on that one day. And so it's really important that you're prepared, and it's put in as much thought to that as you would your application, so that you can really benefit from that one day.
And I think, again, back to the application, one of the questions is, what would you do? What are your plans this year for Small Business Saturday? So it could be that you might want to run a competition, a promotion. You might be really lucky. Across the UK, there are huge amounts of towns, cities, bid companies, local authorities who put on specific days. There might be, so it's not all about just you and your business. It's how can you support others as well. So I think that's also a tip, because it's a virtual PA. What would I be doing on Small Business Saturday? Sometimes I'd like to have a day off on a Saturday. So, but I would still be out there shopping, or I would be supporting, or I would do something in the run up. We manage social media for people, so we would be using their platforms with their permission, obviously, to champion other small businesses. So there's lots and lots, no matter what your sector, what your industry, that there's always something that you can think of. And I guess that's the thing about planning, isn't it? Thinking what opportunities are out there.
I'm just going to say that Michelle won't say it because she's too modest, but Michelle and her team run Small Business Saturday's entire social media. So if you get chosen to be one of the 100, you will get contacted by her team to get them more information. And the sooner you do that, the more prepared they will be to promote you on your day. But they are the ones who are putting out all the tweets and everything on Small Business Saturday. Their week is not done on Friday, the 1st of December. They will be busy on socials. And let me tell you that everything trends on that day. So you really want to get in on that. So if you want to get in touch with Michelle, here is a link to her LinkedIn profile. You can talk to her if you want to outsource anything. So have a look at Michelle's profile. But she and her team do a sterling job in the 100 days up to Small Business Saturday and on Small Business Saturday itself. So, give them as much help as you can. If you make that 100 and you get an email from the Small Business Saturday team asking you for more information, make it as easy as possible for them. Give them text that they can copy and paste. Give them the images that you want them to use. If you have little snippets of video, send them. They will use what you send them. but you need to do it in advance because they're going to do this for 100 businesses on top of everything else that they have to do for and running up to that day.
Thank you, Manal. And I'm also going to add, as the alumni, once you're into that group, Small Business Saturday doesn't stop on the 2nd of December. It carries on and carries on. And all of the alumni, we're always reaching out. They always reach out and ask for stories, ask for social, celebrate with them. We're always seeing, at the moment, we're seeing lots of business birthdays, which are always a fabulous celebration as well.
Yeah, and I have to say that carries on. It carries on. So for me, it's just such a wonderful group to be part of. I've had instances. You get invited to a private Facebook group. I've had instances where I've had a challenge with my business and I've posted in there, and people have been so helpful, and it just feels like there's somebody in your corner. So definitely worth applying for. Well, Michelle, we are at the end of our time. We could probably talk about this forever.
we could. We're a bit passionate about it, aren't we, to be fair? I'm going to wish everybody good luck. If you're applying, good luck. Honestly, it's an experience that you won't forget.
Absolutely. I'm just going to say, just do it. Start your application as soon as we've got off here. Do it. Give yourself the time. Don't wait until midnight. On the 30th of June, make sure you get it in early and you've prepared enough for it that you know that you've put in something that's strong, that's going to get you picked. Thank you for joining me. I will be back in 2 weeks' time. I've completely forgotten who I'm coming back with. Oh, I know what I'm back on Wednesday in 2 weeks' time. Wednesday, not Tuesday. And I'm going to be talking to a lady about ageism in marketing and why it's so important to particularly if you're targeting older people, to be cognizant of the images and words that you use in your marketing. So please join me then. Take care and good luck with your applications.